It's a big if. They use this in USB, so other components, the telephone, right? So you look at this, there's this one, there's this one. That's really great. So execute this solid-drive group are just vacuuming up all of the tracking work being done by the open hacking jailbreaking community, pulling it together, sticking their own label on it, and then reselling it as a package for some worrisome movement in the encrypted web extension standardization process. We've talked about this a couple times. This emerging from the encrypted media extension. Web extension, encrypted media extensions. So there's a lot of websites that don't dispute essentially at the WEC, the Worldwide Web Consortium, over encrypted media extensions, which is the HTML5 digital rights management that several companies want incorporated, embedded in the web extensions. And the websites are really first, Google slipped an important change into a latest framework that removes the ability to disable the implementation of encrypted media extensions, which further neutered the already weak argument of supporters that DRM is optional, so it's fine. The latest version of Chrome no longer optional. The other development is so dozens of WCC members and hundreds of security professionals have asked WCC to amend so that its members can use the encrypted media extension to sign security users that witnesses so far, the WCC has stonewalled on this point. This weekend, the WCC executive announced that it would not make such an agreement part of the ENT work, but endorsed the idea that the WCC should participate in creating meaningful rights for companies to decide which facts about browser defects can be disclosed and under what circumstances. So that's the problem. One of the major objections to DRM has been the fact that due to the anti-circumvention copyright law in several countries, including ours, the US, it would quickly become a tool for companies to censor and force security researchers to find vulnerabilities in their software. Directly the standard body called for a new consensus solution to this problem, but not surprisingly, quote, the team was unable to find such a resolution, so there's anybody the new approach will be a forced compromise words of one supporter of the plan, it won't make the world perfect. And this is a supporter, right? It won't make the world perfect, but we believe it's an achievable and worthwhile goal. So they're trying to come up with a compromise. But the argument is this is not a real compromise because by working to determine where the line should be drawn, it creates an important presumption, or an implicit presumption, that there is a line to be drawn. Having a policy is a tacit endorsement of the use of DRM for censoring security issues to whatever degree, because there is a question about what degree such use is acceptable and whether such use is appropriate at all. So, another factor here. Incorporating characters from the unhashed password complicates things, but it doesn't make it completely random. So I do think that it's clearly superior if the salt is unrelated in any way to what the user puts in. It's a completely random file, which is unique per user and isn't tied to things that I read a couple years ago when I knew that Sci-Fi Channel was going to be producing it, and the series does stand out as remarkably high quality compared to most of the stuff that's there. I wanted to recommend a series of 4 books called The Intrepid Saga from an author, M.D. Cooper. He has a site called Neon14, that was the A, so AEON14.com. That's all you need to know to find it. Neon is AEON14.com. We'll take you there. 4 books in the first set. See, there is a that I'm now anxiously waiting for. It's not going to wait very long. It's throughout April. But the 4th book ends that first set, so you don't have to worry about being blood letter. You got to click on it. On the other hand, the 5 will probably be ready by the time you are. I really enjoyed that. And especially the 4th one. It's good character development. It is sort of military sci-fi. It is set in the far future in the year 40,000 something. So the solar system is fully populated with terraforms and worlds, planets that elevate rings that are circulating. It's nice, rich, well fleshed out future vision. And at this point, Sol's getting pretty crowded, so we're sending off world ships, those first to terraform and then colony ships, multi-long missions with the colonists and stations to go and spread humanity around. And so this is set in that sort of a backdrop, and it's just very enjoyable. A very strong female protagonist, Tannis Richards, and I think people will like it. So, and boy, the 4th book, it just really comes together. It's almost like someone else wrote it. I don't know, maybe he came back from vacation or something before he wrote it, but it just grabbed me. So, it's, I can't say enough good things about it. The healthy sleep formula that we've talked about briefly, and that has become extremely popular and helping a lot of people, is in the process of being made into a packaged product. So it's simpler for people to take. HealthySleepNow.com for anybody who's interested. There's an Indiegogo project put together. I'm not involved in any way, so I'm not making any representation about it, although the person who's doing it is an advocate of it, and is soliciting people's feedback and input. So HealthySleepNow.com. Fixed my hard drive. My laptop now works without a hard drive churning, thanks SGGRC. So that was nice to see happening sort of in real time, and a nice note to remind people that it's not only for data recovery and when we're worried that all might be lost, but when the laptop isn't working the way you think it used to, or the desktop seems to like pause for people, that's actually a real scary sign. Your desktop seems to sort of freeze or pause for a while. There's no visual indication that your hard drive is having a problem at that time, but that's often what is going on. We know that because people run SpinRite and then that all stops. So it was the drive behind the scenes, or the OS, trying, like hitting a bad spot and working with the drive to deal with it. Running SpinRite makes the things permanent. And lastly, two armed bandits. I got a kick out of this story because I knew our Security Now listeners would appreciate it. Wired.com provided the coverage for this, and Leo, you had already, I guess he said that you and Lisa had seen this.
Yeah, Lisa is a slot machine player, so she had a serious interest in this overhaul.
So I'm just going to summarize this because we're just about out of time. Essentially what happened is Putin outlawed gambling because he thought that would reduce the amount of underworld activity in Russia, and that forced the resale of a large number of electronic slot machines out onto the market. That allowed the examination and reverse engineering of this large population of slot machines, and it was discovered that they were not using high quality hardware based, like quantum level noise in a reverse bias diode that we were talking about just last week. They're using pseudo-random number generators, and they're not very good. So, as we talked about, the problem with pseudo-random number generation is why, for example, I don't use them in Squirrel, because if you are ever able to obtain a snapshot of the state of a pseudo-random number generator, then you can predict all of the future, because it's just a software algorithm. And so, I did a podcast we called it Harvesting Entropy a few years back, where I explained in detail the way I'm avoiding that trap in Squirrel. Squirrel doesn't have a high need for randomness. Generally, it's just deterministic, working from what the website generates. But when you create an identity, you want it to be an absolutely random 256 bits. So I arranged to do that with something that generates very, very high quality entropy, and not anything where taking a snapshot of it would allow you to predict the future. It specifically protects against that. Unfortunately, looks like from the coverage of how widespread this problem is, none of the slot machines that are in use are using high quality true random numbers. They are using something deterministic. And so here's how this works. Of course, I called this two-armed bandits because the bandits themselves have two arms, but they are exploiting one-armed bandits. The common designation for slot machines. By watching slot machines operate, and in the later attacks using Skype to stream the video back to the exploiters, who happen to be in, I think they were in St. Petersburg, I think they're in Russia. The current state of the pseudo-random number generator could be determined just by watching the outside of the slot machine. First of all, I think that's unconscionable that the design would be so poor, but that's the story. So by essentially playing the slot machine for some length of time while capturing what it does, it is possible from looking at the series of outputs to reverse engineer fully the software state of the pseudo-random number generator and then predict the future. So the way this was done was that the way it was first caught was the bad guys would hold their smartphone in their hand, and 1/4 of a second before they were supposed to press the button to stop the spinning of the wheels, their phone would vibrate. So the phone was set to vibrate 1/4 second before the slot machine before pushing the button would cause a payout. And even though it was, your timing might be a little bit off, so you wouldn't get a payout, but that was enough of an advantage, having the phone vibrate and the person as quickly as they could immediately push the button on the slot machine, biased it enough that these guys were generating tens and hundreds of thousands of dollars a week in payout across the U.S. And later, because they were caught, in the video surveillance of the casinos, they were caught holding the phone. They started wearing it in a shirt pocket and with an abrasive grill, so that they would be able to feel it easily vibrate in order to make it less obvious what they were doing. But it turns out that because the randomness of the slot machines wasn't sufficiently random, and you could, by looking at the outside of it, you could determine the current state of its pseudo-random number generator inside. You could then predict the future, and that would give you a bias to substantially overcome the house odds and end up getting a lot of money out of the one-armed bandits.
Unless you're playing nickel slots in which case.
Oh yeah, it's not going to be much worth it.
What is a great story. It shows you the flaws in the random generators.
And this thing generates so much money, Leo, they could afford a reverse bias diode.
Yeah.
It's just crazy. As I said, they must be repurposed palm machine or something from the 1970s. It's like, how I don't understand. I mean, they're so expensive.
It's old Russian technology. It's Soviet. Here is, I thought, for you, your benefit, I thought you would enjoy this from Stack Overflow. They do an analysis from time to time on popular programming languages based on the number of questions they get and the differential between languages used during the weekday and during the weekend.
Interesting.
People, unfortunately, during the weekday ask a lot about SharePoint, PowerShell, and VBA. But on the weekends, it's Haskell and assembly language, baby.
Nice.
Number 1 and number 2. So
assembly's making a bit of a resurgence thanks to IoT, because these things have to be super cheap, and money matters and cost matters, and there just isn't much room in those little things.
Forth is also getting a little bit of resurgence.
Yeah.
Chips, Arduino stamps, things.
Yeah.
Hey, great fun. Thank you, Steve. As always, you can catch Steve's act on his website, grc.com. He goes and spin right through his best maintenance and recovery. So Steve's bread and butter. Make that gabba do happen, baby. He also, some places you make it rain, other places you make it gabba do. You can also find the podcast there. He has audio, and you look at transcripts, so you can read along. grc.com while you're there. There's a feedback form, grc.com/feedback. There's all sorts of great information. Just going on, but it's really a fun site just to browse around and explore. grc.com. We have audio and video of the show on our webpage, twit.tv/SN for security money. And of course, you can watch us live every Tuesday, 1:30 p.m. Pacific, 4:30 Eastern, 21:30 live. That's twitch.tv/live, or now YouTube.com/youtube.com/. However you like to go, you can also go on there. Just go to our website. So 5% lessons to that. Episode 2 episodes away from the
coming up next on Windows Weekly. And can this love
from people you trust. This is Twit.
Bandwidth for Windows Weekly is provided by CacheFly at CacheFly.com. Hi, this is Leo Laporte, and once again, time for Twit's audience survey. We'd really like to hear from you. It's only going to take a couple of minutes, really. That's all. Just go to twit.tv/survey and let us know what you think. Your anonymous feedback is on Twitter. Thanks for your continued support. This is Windows Weekly with Paul Thurrott and Mary Jo Foley. Episode 504, recorded Wednesday, February 8th, 2017. Tormented to tears. Windows Weekly is brought to you by Blue Apron, the #1 fresh ingredient and recipe delivery service in the country. See what's on the menu this week and get your first 3 meals free with free shipping by going to blueapron.com/windows. And by Audible. To download a free audiobook of your choice with a 30-day free trial, go to audible.com/windows. And by Harry's. For guys who want a great shave experience for a fraction of what you're paying now, Harry's is so confident in the quality of their blades, they want you to try their shave set for free. Just pay shipping. Start your free trial today at harrys.com. Use the code WINDOWS. It's time for Windows Weekly, the show where we talk about Windows, not in a weak fashion, but in a strong fashion. We should call it Windows Strongly. Especially since from Boston Strong, ladies and gentlemen, I give you Mr. Paul Thuro double good Thurrott. It's starting to sound more and more like a wrestling.
It really is
intro.
amazing. And I've had people quote this to me in email now too. So thanks for having
It's
me.
catching on. That's good. I love it. Thurrott.com. Mary Jo Foley. I don't have anything for you.
I know, my name's too simple. You can
Mary
call me
Jo
Boston
Foley,
Strong.
artist. Boston Strong, because you grew up in the area.
I did, yeah.
I like that. I saw. Have you seen the movie yet? Patriots Day?
No.
Paul, did you see Patriots Day? How can you? Oh, you got to see it.
Oh, I will.
It's
I don't
so
usually go to
good.
I don't go to the movies that much. So
That's
I'll see
well.
it.
You'll see it on.
I'll see it.
You'll get the VHS cassette down by the Blockbuster, and you'll love it.
I usually yeah. We have a place called Mike's Pizza that has videotapes.
Nice. Do they really? They still do. Pizza and chill is a whole different meaning when it comes to